Okay, moving on. Going back to a group that didn't debut this year, kind of going back and forth, I want to talk about ONF. ONF, it's a 6 member South Korean and Japanese boy group. They debuted in 2017 under WM Entertainment. This group made headlines when they all enlisted together. I think that makes sense. Sure, it's a year and a half, 2 years that they're gone, but then they're all back together. I don't know. I like that concept. We can all live without our favorite artists for a year and a half. So in September, they released their first comeback since getting out of the military. And the lead single was so good, it made it to my top 20 K-pop songs of 2023. If you missed that episode, all of that stuff's up on my YouTube channel, so make sure to check it out. I loved this comeback and this single. It's called Love Effect, and it's this like pure K-pop energy pill, fun, happy, uplifting, good beat. And then for me, what really differentiates the song from other K-pop releases, it has some really cool jazz moments in the second verse. And I'm like, ooh, where did that come from? It's really nice. I would recommend watching It's Live. If you guys know that series on YouTube, it's one of my favorite where groups perform on like a giant sound stage with live musicians. I love watching that because I like to hear their real voices. Clearly, I like to hear people actually singing. And there's been some wonderful performances. Obviously, Secrets from Monsta X is what comes to mind right away for me because I've watched that 45,000 times. But ONF went on, they did Love Effect. It's so good. And I love in that second verse when you can hear the musicians. The music is really cool in this one. And the chorus is one of my faves. It's just nice to see an older group doing something bright and fun. You know, every post enlistment release doesn't have to be mature and sexy. And I appreciate that for sure. But I think there's no age limit to fun, to joy, to happiness. And I liked seeing that this was their first release coming back from the military. I root for this group. I hope more people give them a listen. They should be more recognizable than they are. ONF is really good. And speaking of, I think I'm going to do something for this episode. Old listeners of the New York City K-Pop Queens podcast, I'm starting to do playlists again. They're going to be part of my Patreon, which will be announced in the new year. But for this week, for the end of the year, my Christmas present, I will be making a playlist of all these songs and all these groups. And that will be linked in the episode description of the show you're listening to right now. So if you're interested, if you want to give them a try, it's all right there for you. I love doing that. I love turning people on to new music. And I think it's a lot easier when you can just click on a playlist instead of having to go manually find it yourself. You might forget when you're done listening. I totally get it. So the playlist is up and ready for your ears.